Hello and welcome to the final presentation of the senior project for Joe Thresher and Joe Sclafani for the spring 2020 semester. The features we ended up finishing up with for our project involved a viewing screen change and add to database change involving the addition of consoles uniquely identified into an inventory system. I can go into that a little bit more in a bit. We did encounter some challenges along the way that prevented us from achieving some of our goals, but let's get right into it. So what we want to do is start up MAMP first to start our servers. Okay. And we want to run the program. So as you can see, the startup screen, no changes there. Just your basic add to database button and view database button just as before. So let's start with the add to database. Now, you can see one of the first major changes is the two sections here involving adding to a database. So we did create a separate table for the newly added consoles database, and why we did that separately is just to make it easier for the user to find a uniquely identified console for sale. Now, the columns or values that should be put in the table are a little bit different than the add to game database function. As you can see, there's no quantity since they are all going to be uniquely identified by a serial number. So basically, you can just put, let's say, PlayStation, and we'll put just a kind of a random assortment of numbers for a serial number. And if we're saying PS1, let's say $29.99. Another big change in this section includes the drop-down menus in both the game add to database and console to database. This is just to improve not only simple UI, but also to prevent errors from user input. So let's just add, as you can see, we have options here: console only, complete no box, complete. So any scenario that the game would be, or the game system would be, what condition it would be and what it would include. So let's just say the console only. As you can see, the console was added to the database. I can show you that in a moment. Another functionality we added was error handling. So that would include scenarios where nothing is entered in the text fields and the user tries to add a game. It will say incorrect value in field. I'll show you a little bit of that in the code here. So what we want to look at, just a basic exception that it's thrown to. In any situation, right now it will only say incorrect value in field. And as you can see, the implementation here for the add console database method, pretty similar to the game method. So as the existing the console added to database says there's no existing quantity to be updated since each one is uniquely added. Another change that we added for easy navigation is that you don't ever return to the title screen, we'll say, where it shows the State Line Video Games logo. we now have buttons that just send you to the two main user interfaces, adding to database and viewing database. So if we just go ahead and click that, it'll bring us right over to the newly designed view database screen. So now we can see that we have our PlayStation console we entered with that unique serial number. So we wanted to make it visible for both games and consoles, the current inventory listed. We wanted to make the usability the same, so if we search in the text fields, you'll see that they all work the same as the search text fields above in the games. So obviously we had to create a new table and class type for consoles with the right values. And so we basically duplicated what we had for the games attributes in order to implement a second table. So the usability is exactly the same. One of our biggest challenges involved the search text fields. A lot of time was spent on trying to get the search text fields on either the games and consoles as a whole in each table working together to filter a field, a specific item. So as you can see, it does work if I type in the name search text field on games. If I type CA, all the games with CA in the title will work, but if I actually, let's try Guitar Hero, since we have two of those, one for Xbox 360 and one for PS3. So it found the titles here, but if I type in X for Xbox, it doesn't just show me one entry like it should. It just shows me everything with an X in the console. So what we wanted to do was get those to work together to filter further, but the farthest we got was a method of getting them to talk to each other, but they would ultimately just search in every column, the last one that you had entered into. So that wasn't really what we wanted. Like if I searched C in here, it would actually show these first few entries of Call of Duty, 8 and 9 here, Halo CE, and that's not what we wanted. So we ended up reverting back to our original method of each individual at one at a time search text field. Because of the amount of time that was spent on this, we didn't get to a few things that we were hoping to get to. One involving a database removal method upon point of sale, preferably. At some point, still, we want to add just a way for the user to click a button or select an option to remove things from the inventory list, but ultimately we want to eventually make it upon sale that it automatically removes things from the inventory. So that was one thing we didn't get to. Customer receipt screen to generate a unique customer receipt. That was another big thing we were really hoping to get to, but we didn't have time for. The resizing of the UI is another thing. We would have had to kind of reset everything up in a grid pane. That's just another small thing we didn't get to, as well as an autofill search in the text fields here. So if I were to type Call of Duty, could come up as an option. There's something that exists. There was just a little bit of kind of confusion on how we were able to hypothetically implement that in theory, and given the amount of time, we just didn't have much time to think about it. But overall, the application does work when adding things and viewing things that are currently there. which is the first big step, I would say. But yes, that is our final project report for this semester. Thanks for watching.